What is up, guys? How we doing? How we doing? My loopy ass is gonna do my best to make a video. So, I don't have to sit at the car mechanic all day. They were actually kind enough to give me a ride home because I'm like right around the corner. Super dope. Didn't realize they did that for customers, so that's awesome. But, I did have to get up at 8 a.m. I went to bed at like 4, so I'm really tired. But, I wanted to talk about DC and its future. So, I just got done watching Peacemaker for the second time, and God, it's such a good show. It's so fucking well written. Just so well written. I am a huge James Gunn fan. Slither was one of my favorite horror movies as a kid. It doesn't hold up the greatest, but for its time, as weird as it is a damn good horror movie. Brightburn was decent. I love the concept he was setting up there of a evil DC universe. And then, as you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is an amazing series. And then Suicide Squad came out and bombed, and then James Gunn touched it and did it justice. And just to piss off the Snyder Bros, there is no debate on who's the better writer and filmmaker here. Zack Snyder doesn't even fucking come close to James Gunn. Like, I just want to get that out of the way now. So, if that pisses you off, you can go ahead and click off. Because Dawn of the Dead is probably my favorite Zack Snyder movie, and James Gunn basically wrote it. So, and I mean, it's a reboot, so you could say he didn't really write it, but I don't know if you've seen the original Dawn of the Dead. I have. There are a lot of changes in that remake. It's a well-directed movie, especially that opening scene. It's amazing. But look at what Zack Snyder has done with BVS and basically everything else, and tell me that he's had a number of successes as James Gunn has. Like, he's got his unique style. He's a visual storyteller. There's good things to Zack Snyder, but this whole debate on who's better is pretty fucking clear. Now, to be fair to Zack Snyder, he was given an impossible task, and that was try to do what Marvel did over 10 years in one movie. And he did the best job he could. And his version of Justice League is way better than Justice League. So credit where credit is due. And I loved 300 as a kid. But, like, I don't know. As far as writing goes, James Gunn is clearly a better writer. And especially as far as, like, character development goes. And I personally love his music taste. Even in Peacemaker, I actually downloaded a song from Peacemaker. You know, the scene where the butterflies are all attacking the police station and the prisoner, and then they all creepily smile walking in slow motion down the hallway. Yeah, that song was perfect for that moment. Monster by Reckless Love, a fucking band. I assumed it was a late 80s, early 90s song, especially by the way the band looks, but no, it came out in 2016. But between his soundtrack and his writing, he's just always been a filmmaker that has caught my eye, and anything he touches, I watch. And the fact that he got fired by Marvel was one of the dumbest decisions Marvel ever did. And the fact Warner Brothers hired him and said, here you go, take care of the DC universe, was one of the smartest things they ever did. Because I am a firm believer that DC is the future. Now, with that being said, my only concern is James Gunn. First of all, he needs to write the projects, not be focused on directing them. As amazing of a director as he is, his writing is where he shines. And I hope he doesn't spread himself too thin. There's a difference between working on a movie and working on a universe, having all these different projects going on at the same time. What killed Marvel was the finality of a cultivation of 10 years of storytelling within game, and then introducing all these TV shows. So the stakes don't feel high anymore. You got the multiverse, so if a character dies, they can just be replaced by this and that. And all these fucking TV shows on these like B characters, some successful, some not. I thought WandaVision was very good. I thought Loki was very good. didn't really care for the Winter Soldier one, and haven't really cared for anything since. What If the first season was decent. But imagine if James Gunn wrote them. I mean, he has literally taken characters people don't care about and made them successes many times now. So, but my point is, like, the finality after Endgame, I just kind of had a gut feeling that Marvel would never get to that same spot, because that was 10 years of storytelling, wrapped up. So now we gotta find a new Thanos. And the introduction to TV shows, I think, is kind of what fucked Marvel. But DC, James Gunn, I just think, has a vision, and he has me interested in Superman. I've never liked Superman. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was decent, sure, but I just don't like Superman as a character. I never have. I have the same complaints everybody else does, that he's too OP, right? But after watching a deep dive on Superman and, like, what he actually represents and whatnot, I'm looking forward to his telling of this character, and the trailer looks really good. I love the bright color saturation instead of that dark grittiness that the DCEU did. Like, Zack Snyder can't color grade for shit. I believe in James Gunn, and I do hate to hear that they're planning on coming out with so many TV shows. If you're James Gunn and you're looking at this, obviously, to do what Marvel did, you need to set up a universe and you need to build it slowly. And he looks like he's doing that, according to 3C Films. He just reported that James Gunn has a 6-year plan to build up to this Endgame-like event. And the reason why it's 6 years instead of 10 years is because the amount of content that James Gunn's going to be coming out with. It's something like 2 shows and 2 movies and 2 animated shows a year. And that's a lot of writing, man. That's gonna spread you way thin. And a lot of people are looking at the characters he's choosing to write about and raising an eyebrow, but I like it. I like that he's grabbing these random characters and making them shine. They said the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, and that took off, and that's due to writing. The characters were so well written. Their arcs were so good to watch. It's an amazing trilogy. And he knows how to be funny. And he knows how to be scary. And he knows how to be serious. Clayface just announced that that's going to be like a horror movie. Love it. Love James Gunn's ability to throw in horror there and do something like Peacemaker, which is so fucking violent. I don't do that. I hate when the computer does that, because then the video glitches. Anyway, I think this is going to be an interesting time for DC. We're going to have a Superman movie, which I predict is going to have $1 billion. I'm calling it now. It's going to make $1 billion. Then we got a fucking horror movie origin story for a villain, which I think is an amazing way to go about telling that story. The only thing I know about Clayface is the Teen Titans fought him a lot. And then you have Rick Flagg's dad, that's supposed to be a villain for Peacemaker. And just after watching Peacemaker, Peacemaker is such an amazing show because of how well the characters are written and the dialogue between them, and watching all their personalities clash with one another. That's why James Gunn is such a good storyteller. He knows how to make you care about the characters and delivers on action scenes, delivers on gore and violence, and obviously, with PG-13 movies being the bulk of what DC is, you can't have that too much gore and violence there. But the point is, every Marvel show feels the same, and James Gunn has the ability to switch up genres. He can make one show a comedy, he can make one show a scary one, he can make one action-packed. He's a very diverse writer. I think James Gunn is going to kill it, and I think the future DC is going to be more popular than Marvel. That is my theory. This video could age poorly, Superman could bomb, and then they just don't do it because everything's riding on this Superman movie. If Superman fails, they are literally planning on just not doing the universe. But I think Superman's going to make $1 billion because even the people that want to hate it and just hate on James Gunn are going to buy a ticket. And people that love Superman that are actually interested are going to watch it. And even people like me that aren't big fans of Superman, it's on my to watch list this year. So I'm really excited to see what James Gunn does. I have faith in the man. And Peacemaker is such an amazing show. I was going to do a review on it, but I figured, nah, it's a little too late. It's just such a well-written show. It's so funny. The dialogue is so great. And Harcourt, his wife, is probably my favorite character. She's such a fucking badass. And she was in American Pie Book of Love, just in case you were wondering. But my point is everything he has touched has been gold so far. He took the same goddamn story of Suicide Squad and nailed it. Now, they were given an R rating, but that's not why the movie succeeded. It was the writing of the characters. You know, he actually got an emotional gut punch out of you with Ratcatcher and, like, his storytelling there. And the only upcoming projects with Marvel I'm really excited about are Fantastic Four and I guess Doomsday. I'm really excited to see Galactus on screen, but I think we know how the Fantastic Four movie is going to end. And it just looks meh, to be honest. And I do like the decision to have Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Yeah, it's a desperate move, but fuck it. I think it'll work. I'm glad that like we shifted away from Kang and went to Doomsday, but I'm just not excited about it. And this is going to be controversial. I have not liked a single Spider-Man movie from Marvel yet. You had Spider-Man, fucking Iron Man Jr. You had Spider-Man 2, which just, you had some really cool scenes and shit, but you just know how it's going to play out with Mysterio. And whoever came up with the idea that Spider-Man had to have a big superhero accompanying him, like, it is fucking stupid. You had Iron Man in the first one, and then you had Nick Fury in the second one, and then the third one had the potential to be one of the greatest movies ever, and it was just a fucking fan service galore, like Deadpool and Wolverine. There's nothing Marvel can do to get back to Endgame like hype. That's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, man. You know, because we were just able to start doing superhero movies and tied together this universe, and we were seeing this for the first time. So that's one challenge that DC is going to have, is that we've seen this done before, so now having the same level of excitement is going to be hard. But if you just go back to basics and just make a good movie every time and be patient, because, you know, the DCEU failed for very obvious reasons. They rushed it. BVS was one of the most excited I have ever been for a movie. And I got one thing to say about that movie. Martha. That scene, God, that is one of the worst written scenes ever. Oh my God, dude. Why did you say that name? Like, you were just gonna kill the guy. And now you're saying Martha isn't gonna die tonight because you have the same mother's name? No way. Like that, and it's 2.5 hours long, and they're obviously trying to just throw together the Justice League real quick to try to compete with Marvel, but that's not how you get that payoff. The Avengers, I saw that opening night, and honestly, that's my favorite movie theater experience, even over Endgame and Infinity Wars, because the Avengers was the first time we saw a cinematic universe form and the first time we saw this team come together. And it was after years of developing these characters. And DCEU just wanted to cheat and get there and tell it in one movie, and not in a great way, not with good writing. And I like James Gunn's vision. The only way this fails is if he gets spread too thin and starts doing mediocre writing on all this shit. I don't know if he's writing every project. I don't know if he's just producing everything. But assuming he's writing most of these projects, and he wrote and directed the Superman movie, so I think it succeeds. I think DC ends up being the future. I think they're gonna make better films, and so even though you're not gonna be able to have the excitement of seeing a cinematic universe built for the first time, you're still going to have better movies comparatively to Marvel. And watching another universe get built, I think James Gunn is just going to kill it, man. James Gunn does not miss. I don't see him missing now. And the decision to fire him, dude, it was just so dumb. You could have had him as an ally, and he is going to go to DC, and he is going to make Marvel pay. That's what's going to happen. That full prediction. Like, everything he touches is gold. Like, I think there's some movies I'm forgetting about when it comes to horror. Brightburn was okay. Brightburn could have been better. But it was a badass thought, right? And then the end credits where you're getting like an evil Aquaman and an evil DC. It's a goddamn shame we didn't get a sequel to that, but I don't think it did very well. He had a hand in writing the Scooby-Doo movies that we grew up with Matthew as Shaggy, which, I mean, they hold up. They don't hold up the best, but as a kid, they were awesome. And he had a hand in writing the Belko's Experiment, which is actually, I think, a Blumhouse movie. And the Belko's Experiment is about a workplace office that basically the people get trapped in there and only one person can survive. It's actually one of the rare Blumhouse successes. It didn't do very successful, like money-wise, but it actually seemed it was a decent movie. It could have been better, but I think it's due to James Gunn being a part of it, you know? But when you're working with Blumhouse, there's only so much you can fucking do, you know? I mean, they managed to make Leigh Whannell look like a bad director. It's amazing how... Don't ever work with Blumhouse, okay? He actually, like, got his start writing, like, little shorts that were basically setups for porn that turned horrible. You know what I mean? Like, somebody comes to work on your fucking dishwasher and the girl's all flirting with them, wanting to sleep with them, and then it turns into like a gruesome death scene. And he's just always dabbled in, like, it seems like horror is, you know, and violence is where his heart is, but he's just also really good at writing comedy and writing drama and characters and whatnot. But just everything he's touched, I've gotten some enjoyment out of. I think DC's the future. I think they're going to make better quality movies. And I think in a decade, DC has been a joke compared to Marvel. And I think that's going to flip. I 100% predict that DC is going to be the future. And while I personally do prefer Marvel characters, I love Spider-Man, I love Iron Man, I love the heroes more on Marvel side. If you can tell a good story, about Superman, make a good Batman. I don't know what their plans are with Batman, if they're going to keep Batman in the Matt Reeves universe or make another one, but I 100%, like, he gets you invested in characters that you don't care about. That's what he's been great at with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, and I just 100% think that DC is going to be what everybody's talking about in a decade. Maybe this video aged poorly. Maybe this is maybe this is just a ballsy guess, but the only way it fails is if he gets spread too thin and gets too overwhelmed. And he does seem like he cares an awful lot about replying to people on Twitter and the haters. And I hope that that doesn't get in his head, you know, because if that gets in your head, that people are going to hate no matter what. You can give them gold and they're still going to get mad. But, and for, I don't know, man. They're like, I don't know how to let you down lightly here, but Zack Snyder doesn't have shit on James Gunn. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, they're not even close. Like, but that's just my opinion, I suppose, at the end of the day. And, but I do think DC is absolutely going to be the future. 100%. And I think Superman's going to bring in $1 billion. And I think it's going to succeed. It looks great. And, I trust. I absolutely trust that the decision to fire him is going to... Like, imagine a timeline where James Gunn didn't get fired by Marvel, man. And Warner Brothers just had, like... I believe everything happens for a reason. And that scoop right there was the smartest thing Warner Brothers ever did. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now. And just rewatching Peacemaker just made me want to talk about it more. A gut feeling. I think DC is going to be the future. There you go. That's the video. I'm sorry I'm so fucking tired, but I had to come out with a video today. I don't want to let you guys down and just not come out with one, so my loopy ass. Yeah. That's it. Like, Peacemaker alone, if you actually think about the quality of the show, I've enjoyed Peacemaker more than... I was going to say more than any Marvel movie. I think Infinity Wars is the best Marvel movie. That's my favorite one. Bad guy wins in the end. The fact that he had the balls to do that, I love it. It was my second favorite theater experience. You heard sniffles. You could hear a pin drop at the credits. Obviously, it's a two-parter, but I could not imagine being a kid and watching that. But outside of Infinity Wars, Endgame, and Avengers, I think Peacemaker is better than literally anything else Marvel has put out. So, and yeah, I have total faith in James Gunn. So, fight me on it. And if I'm right, I think it's going to be one of the most hilarious things that DC ended up being bigger than Marvel because they decided to fire somebody and that person went and kicked their ass. Anyway, thank you for coming to my scrambled brain topic of conversation. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all your support this week. And, yeah, you know, this week has sucked, but we're getting through it. And just got to keep going. You know what I mean? We're almost to March. We'll figure it out. But it's always nice to know I got you guys to vent to at the end of the day. Thank you for being a part of it.